Welcome back to the Windsor Wednesday show. Today we have an incredible lineup of speakers joining us. And for those watching who are curious about the Windsor Wednesday show, each week we go live with a faculty or staff member. We also go live with a student and an alumnus on the show to share the University of Windsor story and also provide advice to incoming students entering the university this fall. So I'm glad to have individuals on the show today. Up top, we have Zain Ismail. Zain is a graduate of the Bachelor of Commerce Honors Business Administration program at the University of Windsor, graduated in 2012. He's also currently a principal transformation consultant at Henry Ford Health Systems. Down below, we have Dr. Anneke Smit. She's an associate professor and faculty of law, also director of the Windsor Law Center for Cities and co-lead of Cities and Climate Action Forum. Glad to have Dr. Smit on the show. And Jana Khanafer, she is a behavior, cognition, and neuroscience student, and also the new president for the Outstanding Scholars Student Council program. So I'm glad to have everyone on the show today. And the first question talks a little bit about what the University of Windsor means to you. And I'd like Zain, if you could answer the first question and talk a bit about what the University of Windsor means to you in, let's say, 10 words or less. We'll have you go ahead, Zain.
Well, thank you, Lyndon, for having us. The University of Windsor, to me, in my mind, when I think about it, is connections to the community and to the world. Very thankful for the connections that I made while on campus with friends and professors and colleagues that have really helped me get to where I am today and sort of have the impact that I want to have in the world. So that's what I would say, connections to the world and the community.
Perfect. I think that was under 5 or so. Excellent. Thanks for sharing, Zain.
You're welcome.
Dr. Smit, we'll go down to you.
Thanks so much, Lyndon, and thanks for doing this. What a great initiative this show is, and happy to be a part of it today. I also chose a small number of words, and I chose innovation and collaboration, and I think that speaks to a lot of what Zain raised as well. We're a small university. We're based in a community where we're deeply entrenched, and I think the ability to work together on things and the ability to respond quickly and to innovate is deeply embedded in what University of Windsor is and what it means to me.
Excellent. Thank you. Jana, we'll have you go ahead and talk a little bit about what the University of Windsor means to you in 10 words or less.
Yeah, absolutely. So first, thank you for having me on the show today. And so what university means to me in 10 words or less, there's a lot of things to say. So I think the one thing I recognize at the university is the opportunity involved. Not only the opportunity for academic success, but also socially, also like making good connections and networking with people. And so, yeah, like when I think of university, it's just a lot of opportunity, and it's just on the students to seek those opportunities and just have like the sight to like find them and truly just, yeah, so that's just what I think of it, the opportunity.
Thank you. And it looks like you've had that opportunity, especially with Outstanding Scholars this year. So that's great. Mm-hmm. Jumping to our next question, talks about what you've may learned already or are continuing to learn from an initiative or club at the University of Windsor. Zain, Jana, and also Dr. Smit are all involved with initiatives and clubs at the University of Windsor or have been. And I'm really curious to know what everyone's been learning. So Dr. Smit, we'll have you go first.
Sure. I think I've learned the value of relationships. There's a lot of it. I've learned that it's sometimes the things that are the most fulfilling are the projects that allow you to work with the people that really inspire you. And there are a lot of those in our community, in our university community. So I think part of what I've learned is just the importance of sort of building those again, it's collaboration, right? Building those connections and learning from others, having your ears open. And in particular, I think on the interdisciplinary side of things, right? Reaching across disciplines. A lot of the work that I do right now is legal in nature, but it also has tentacles into all kinds of other fields. And every day I feel as if I learn something from someone else with an expertise in an area totally unrelated to mine.
Yes, and if we can talk a little bit about your experience with some of these different initiatives on campus. So as an example, Windsor Law Center for Cities and even the Climate Action Forum, what are some big things that you've learned from those experiences?
Well, again, I think just that we don't have all the answers in any one field, right? So when I work with colleagues in engineering, they teach me something else about, seeing the structural side of things and big focus in health. That's been, especially I think during COVID, and the WeSpark Institute has done a great job, I think, of building up connections across campus on that. And through the Center for Cities, we've been collaborating there too. And even within our center, we have 15 scholars within the law faculty who are all affiliated with our center, and they all have a different expertise. I'm working more on climate, for example, in urban planning. I have colleagues working on things like the intellectual property and graffiti, working on data issues, working on inclusion and reconciliation in the context of our Indigenous and colonial past, and thinking through cities' obligations there. And in every one of those pieces, I think we're better together. We learn together.
Yes, no, that's fascinating to know that it's collaboration that's really helping all these organizations move forward, right? There's so many different parties that it seems like one organization seeks some help from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So thank you. So Zain, during university and your time at Odette, what are some things that you've learned from any initiatives or clubs that you've been a part of?
Yeah, sure. So when I was at Odette, probably the first initiative they got involved in, and I mean, really, we're kind of forced into it. So it was actually in our organizational behavior class, and I'm curious, Lyndon, if they still do that. But we had to, as part of one of our deliverables in the class, actually set up a fundraiser for a charity in town. And so the team that I was on, and Dr. Martha Reevely was our professor, who's tremendous and has become just a tremendous friend and mentor and has helped me along my way. But my team and I, we had to go, we chose the downtown mission as our charity, and we went down there and volunteered and put in some sweat equity. And what I learned from that experience right from the get-go in undergrad is that it's so important, especially as you think about your career, to start building those relationships outside the university and start to see sort of how the real world operates. Academia can be a little bit of a bubble sometimes, and so the foundation that I built with some of the relationships that I built there actually helped me when I stepped into industry and started working in the Ontario Public Service at Leamington Hospital. The knowledge that I learned from that single initiative actually helped me with some of the work that we're doing around increasing access to mental health and addiction services in the county. So that would be one thing. And then similar to Dr. Smit, some initiatives I stay involved with now that I'm no longer a student, but are still involved with University of Windsor, whether it's the Detroit Windsor Med Health Innovation Cluster or Hacking Health. University of Windsor was a sponsor back in the day, and we actually hosted an event on campus, is really, again, similar to Dr. Smit, is how we all need to be working together. My area of focus obviously is in the health space. I'm very interested in how countries can collaborate in the health space and how sort of the Canadian mentality and the American mentality of delivering healthcare can come together to do wonderful things for the world. And being involved in those initiatives with the university's support has really shown me how wonderful magic can occur when we get different thinkers into the room focused on very specific things.
Excellent, thank you.
You're welcome.
And Jana, what have you learned from an initiative, and you're involved with one now, a great organization, outstanding scholars? What are some things that you've learned?
Yeah, so being involved, so I've been involved with numerous clubs, but the Outstanding Scholars is definitely the one that has played a significant role in not only my academic performance, but also my involvement and my just all the connections I know and all the networks that I've done. And so I'd say that the one thing I learned from being a part of the initiative, that organization as a whole, is that there's more than just a degree in university. If you enter university and just think like, okay, in 4 years I'm going to get that degree and that's all, then I'd say that's not the right mindset to have. You need to have that growth mindset of like entering university and saying, okay, like I want to get involved, I want to meet new people, and I want to leave not with just a degree, but also like some hands-on experience and some experiences that are going to help you in the real world. Because I know, university is, you learn everything in the classroom, but how are you going to apply those outside of the classroom? And I think that's just why the Outstanding Scholars Program has helped me and has truly prepared me for the real world. And I think like working in a cancer lab, like I've always been getting involved in cancer research, and just getting into the program in my second year gave me the opportunity to get involved and conduct experiments in the lab and see like how, like, okay, I learned this in the classroom, but I'm actually seeing like how it works in the laboratory. And just, yeah, just overall, just having that mindset that just having that mindset that you want to get both a degree and like some hands-on experience is just what I've learned.
Yes, definitely. And how can somebody get involved with the Outstanding Scholars Program entering into university?
Yeah, so there's 2 points of entry into the program. There's directly after high school and then after your first year of university. So depending on your average outside of high school, you get into the program. It's the top 100 students. They apply based off of not only their GPA, but also their like passion for research and their involvement in high school. For your first year of university, and by the end of that year, all first year students have the opportunity to apply to second year, also based on their average and based on their passion for research and so on. And then hopefully, if you get into your second year, that's when you actually get the opportunity to stay in the program until your 4th year of university. And so you get to join a research lab of your choice, depending, if you're in science, you join a science lab, but you can join any lab as long as the professor is hiring, and you get paid to do research, and it's just a fantastic opportunity.
No, it definitely is. And I was in it in my first year, and it was really cool to be able to get in that network and be with that group of students that are so passionate about different research on campus that will benefit them when they do graduate. So thanks for sharing that.
You're welcome.
And our last question of this discussion on the Windsor Wednesday show talks about is there something that you wish you knew entering university for the first year, and how can this knowledge help somebody who's about to enter this fall? Zain, we'll have you go first.
Sure. So one thing that I wish I recognized or knew when I first started was how valuable it is to build relationships with your professors. And so I think especially for those that are going into undergrad, when you leave high school or wherever else you're coming from, there's kind of like this adversarial relationship between your teacher and you as the student. But in university, all that changes, where it can become very friendly, very collegial, very academic. And it wasn't really until the 3rd and 4th year where I really started to spend more time, go to office hours with some of my professors to really dig in deeper into the content areas that I was studying. And it was in those discussions that I realized how fruitful these relationships could be, where a lot of your professors are people that, they're human, first of all. They want to chat. They love to talk about their focus areas and can really help you, become an expert at some of the areas that you're interested in. But then on your way out of the university, help you to connect you to industry and make recommendations around careers and, help you apply for potentially a master's program. And so building that relationship, becoming more than just, student number XYZ in someone's class, can be very valuable. The other thing that I wish I knew is, especially in undergrad, I came in with a lot of stress. I thought if I didn't make the right decisions in the first semester, in the first few weeks of the first semester, that my life would be over. And now coming out of undergrad and being a few years past graduation, I realized that I probably put myself under too much stress, and it's okay to not always know where you want to go. So long as you just have a general direction of where you want to end up, I promise you the path will start to emerge before you, especially if you have champions and relationships along your side that are helping you on your way.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. And Dr. Smit, we'll go down to you to talk a little bit about something. And I know you didn't attend the University of Windsor as a student, but there's definitely something that can relate from a different post-secondary institution that could be helpful to a student entering university for the first year. We'll have you go.
Absolutely. Thanks, Lyndon. And yeah, I was thinking about that question this morning. So my undergrad is from the University of Alberta, which is a much bigger institution, but not dissimilar in the sense that a large number of the students come from the region. So, when I graduated, I did my last 2 years of high school in Alberta, in Edmonton, and almost all my graduating class that was going to university was going to the University of Alberta. So in that sense, there's a big commuting student body, lots of people staying at home, and I think that mirrors the University of Windsor experience to a large degree at the undergrad level. And so I think all of what Zain has said, I would echo. The building relationships, the taking the opportunities, and I think Jana, you talked about this too, about things happening outside the classroom. Don't presume that everything that, in fact, most of what you'll remember, and I say this as someone who teaches classes in the classroom, but most of what you'll remember from your undergrad is going to be the stuff that happened outside class. So by all means, don't sacrifice the academic, but take all those other opportunities. And I think Zain hit the nail on the head in terms of building relationships with your professors. We have a lot of students, and it's hard. You do your best to be fair and to be open to all students and available to all students. The fact of the matter is, when students reach out to you and show an interest, it starts a relationship that might not be there otherwise. I try more and more to sort of keep an eye on other students that might not feel comfortable to reach out to me, and to kind of be the one to extend a hand as well. But it has to be a two-way street. And so I think, knowing that it's okay, and that most of us would really like to hear from you, and are more than happy to give you some advice along the way, bits and pieces, which you may or may not take. But to have some input into some of the steps you might take in that first year. We're all in it together.
No, that's a great point. And I have to ask, Dr. Smit, what would you recommend for a student, being that you are a professor at the University of Windsor, what do you recommend a student does when they reach out to a professor to kind of get to know them more?
There was I think it was a TikTok that was circulating that one of my kids showed me, that was like a university student sort of telling kids, here are the top 10 steps for what you should do to ingratiate yourself to your professors. It wasn't all wrong, it wasn't all right either. But I think you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to have read up extensively. You don't have to have read every, I've had students reach out sometimes and they say, I've read, 3 or 4 of your articles and it's fascinating what you studied. And that's fine, but you don't need to do that. You can just say, I kind of have an interest in X that you work on, and I wonder, if I could just stop by to chat with you about it, or just after class. I mean, it's hard right now in the virtual space, but if there is a chat open after class, stay behind and just listen a little bit, and they'll notice you're there. Or just reach out and ask, one simple question. If you're thinking about summer jobs and what you might, where you might want to get some experience, that's a great question for profs too. It doesn't have to be anything complicated.
No, definitely. Thank you for sharing that. Something interesting that I will definitely do going forward, not making it so over the top, right? And just a simple introduction will work great. So thank you. Jana, we'll have you talk a little bit about being that you're in your 4th year going into medical school soon, what is something that you wish you knew in your first year? How could it have helped somebody that's about to enter this fall?
Yeah, absolutely. So something I wish I knew in my first year of university is the importance of finding a balance with everything in your life. So academics, networks, your social life, your personal life. And I think once you find that balance, everything else falls into place naturally. And so what I mean by that is that when I started my first year of university, my first semester actually, I was so focused on getting this high GPA, not much focus on my involvement, and soon enough, I wasn't even focused much on my mental health and my physical health. And I think that's when when you focus too much on one thing, I kind of look at it like a bar graph, where too much academics, not enough social life, or vice versa. It's when one thing is too high and the other one is too low, things just start to fall, everything just starts to fall behind, and you don't feel really organized in your life. So what I'd focus on my first year of university is just finding that balance. So if you think that you're struggling in your academic side, put some more focus into that for a while. Go to your professor's office hours, reach out to your friend, make new friends. You just find the right resources to be successful in your academic life, but also don't forget about don't neglect the other parts of your life. So I think that's one thing that I wish I knew in my first year of university. And then another thing that I kind of it's a quote that I kind of live by, is that comfort is the enemy of progress. And so I'd honestly recommend students to seek out opportunities. Don't be scared of new opportunities, and also just don't stay in your comfort zone, because that's if you stay in your comfort zone, you're not going to grow as a person. You're just going to be stagnant. You're just going to be in that one place forever. But once you open your life to new opportunities and new doors, and you meet new people, you make good connections, it's kind of just what I kind of live by. So just don't be scared of new opportunities. And that's kind of what I just wish I knew in my first year.
No, that's excellent. That's such a powerful saying and quote for students that they should definitely consider. So thank you. And Dr. Smit, we do have a question here that I believe it's kind of towards you. It's from Abe, and it says, what's the impact of teaching online, and how can someone succeed with this online platform, if you're able to just provide a little insight into that.
That's the question of the hour, isn't it? Look, we're all in a new world here, right? This is new for all of us. I do lots of stuff online, and I'm thankful that I'm not completely new at this world coming into it, and I'm still fearful. I have first year students coming into law school who are not going to set foot on the UWindsor campus, and at the beginning, and I have upper year students in seminars where personal relationships and working together, collaboration is really important. I worry about students checking out. I think it's very hard. I know we all get screen exhaustion, and it's really hard to know how we're going to get past that. I think I can say as faculty, we're doing our best to bring all the skills and all the tools that we can, and to be creative and try and find different and new ways to engage students online. And I think on the student side, it's just, do your best to be present. Be present, if you're watching stuff, if you're watching a lecture online, be taking notes. Don't be doing other stuff. To the extent that you're able, find a quiet space to take your lessons seriously. I know that's really hard because not everyone has the space at home. We're all dealing with these really important equity challenges too, right? But to the extent that you can, give yourself that best opportunity, and again, reach out. We're not going to be able to meet face to face right now. We're not going to happen across each other in the hallway. And so we have to find those spaces. And again, I think just don't be afraid to see that the person on the other end of, on your screen is still your professor. They're still there to support you. At some point, we are all going to get back in the classroom together and continue those relationships in person as well. But just, stay engaged to the extent that you can. And if you're feeling checked out, reach out to your professors, reach out to the support staff, make connections with the other students as well, and do everything that you can to emulate, what you would otherwise have been getting in your university experience this year.
Fantastic. Thank you. And I hope that answers your question, Abe. And thank you, Dr. Smit, for providing that insight. And to all of our guests, thank you for joining me on this episode. I really appreciate your time. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Bye for now.